Welcome to the 15-minute presentation on fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So it's targeted towards you, parents, just to inform you of some of the elements that as teachers we're hoping to support and encourage this specific intellectual disorder. So I'm just going to talk about quickly what we'll be covering in this video. So the first thing we'll be discussing are just brief characteristics of the disorder. The second thing will be the social, physical, emotional and educational needs of the child. The third thing we'll be discussing is how we can use different teaching and learning strategies within the classroom with your children and with the students who have FASD. And not only that, but how to effectively manage our classroom, different ways that we can support behavioural and environmental sort of change, and also encourage an environment where it's actually going to be comfortable for the students, the ones with FASD and other intellectual disorders, as well as just other students in general. And then as we discuss this as teachers, we have something that we like to refer to as the UDL, Universal Design for Learning. And so what that means is that every child should have the ability and the right to have equal access to the curriculum, despite difficulties, despite disabilities. So for instructional goals, methods, the materials we give them and the assessments we give should all be specific and accessible to all students, regardless of their learning styles, regardless of what they might struggle with. And that goes for all students. It's not just students with intellectual disabilities or intellectual disorders. It is all students. It is our goal to understand the students in the best possible way and cater different resources such as assessments to them in a way that is best understood by them. So we do that by how we represent everything to the classroom, how we express our things to the classroom, our information, and how we engage the classroom. And so I'll be referring to that, so now you know what it means throughout the presentation. So enjoy and feel free to take notes on how to understand and what we can do to support a child with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And there's also a small element in here where we discuss parent involvement and community involvement, and what we can do as a team to best support these children. Now we will cover a brief background on FASD, fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. It is caused by drinking during pregnancy. This can also cause long-term brain damage to the child. Long-term effect on the social, emotional, physical and educational needs of the child are caused while alcohol is consumed during this pivotal development of the child. This disorder is 100% preventable. In many circumstances, the students who have FASD have an unstable home environment, and many are sent to live in foster care because the parents can neither cater or need to address these issues. It is important to emphasise that FASD affects all areas of the student's life. Working effectively as a team is an educational environment that can allow the student to grow in ways they would have never imagined. In the top left-hand corner is an image which bears some similarities of what you would see with students who have fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Now we're going to have a quick look at the physical, social, emotional and educational needs and issues that the student encounters, and after that we'll discuss some of the strategies we're using to improve and help the students throughout this. Some of the physical needs that these students have are poor coordination, issues with fine and gross motor skills, heart and other organ problems, stunted growth, which can be an issue during puberty that leads to psychological repercussions, and hyperactivity. Some of the social needs that students with FASD need special attention to are mood swings, lack of social skills, anger and frustration towards other students, and bullying also, which makes them fall behind in class and can increase psychological issues as well. Now we'll have a look at the emotional needs briefly. There is constant feeling of incompetence and frustration, which results in anger, a feeling of isolation and feeling different, psychological trauma from neglect within their household, and constant support is needed to encourage them to complete activities. Now we're going to just finally have a look at the educational needs of a student. Memory issues, a limited attention span, behavioural issues within class, slow thought processing, and finally they need a safe learning environment where the student can block out noise and have minimal distraction. So the big question is, how can we as teachers and you as parents, therefore we are a community of people, support these students with FASD? The next section we're just going to be discussing and covering different strategies that we've tried and different data that we have collected and what has worked, what hasn't worked. And so I'm just going to choose two of the needs because we don't have a lot of time in this video. So I'm just going to choose the physical needs and the educational needs of the child. And we'll just discuss some of the strategies we've used, some of the classroom management ideas we have used, and then I'll also brainstorm some more, just so you're familiar with what's happening within the classroom. First, let's have a quick refresher on the universal design for learning. The most core concept is to take out of this is that all students should have equal access to curriculum. This means that no matter what additional needs the students have, they have the right to learn just as anybody else does. How do teachers do this? Through deliberate instructional goals, methods, materials, and assessments. This can mean anything such as working alongside learning support staff, modifying assessments and lesson plans to support students' needs, and designing tasks that use the syllabus, but also allow the students to grow in the skills they need assistance in. As discussed before, I'm going to share different teaching and learning strategies and classroom management ideas on how to cater to the physical and educational needs of students with FASD. Let's have a look at a case study. This is Claire. Claire has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, or FASD. She's in my music class and struggles with processing large amounts of information, as well as her fine motor skills are not properly developed for her age. An effective teaching and learning strategy that I can use to assist Claire within my music class to develop her fine and gross motor skills would be drumming. Drumming can help strengthen upper body control, arm movement, increase hand-eye coordination, particularly if you use more than one drum. Drumming with mallets helps with reaching, grasping, fluidity of movement and fine motor skills. This practical learning strategy is going to be something that is fun and even can support Claire's hyperactivity, so she does not have to sit down within the lesson for too long. Students can take turns with the teacher at the back of the class individually, so it is not too loud for her either. A teaching and learning strategy for education can be something as simple as visual props. Creating a game where students pick up a card with the word crotchet on it and then have to snap on another card in front of them what they think a crotchet is. This is incorporating not only fine and gross motor skills as well as visual prompts, and this should be followed by words of encouragement towards each student. So just a quick information session on what a strategy plan or an individual learning portfolio is. So every student learns differently, and for the students who have additional needs or intellectual disorders, as teachers we need to relate and discuss with the teachers' aides or support learning staff different ideas and formations of lesson plans and assessments that we can use to address the needs of the students so they can have their equal access to curriculum. So for example, we'll take an assessment task. Now, an assessment task that I would give to a student with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, as opposed to the assessment task that I would just give to another general student within the classroom, are going to be two very different assessments. The one with FASD will probably be more a physical learning experience, which applies to their learning styles, also which creates not a lot of huge steps, but small step-by-step processes with visual prompts. And also I will work alongside teachers' aides so that we can make it together so it's best suited to the student. But in saying that, it is a teacher's goal to understand each and every student within the classroom so that when you do create a general assessment, you are trying to cater to their learning styles, because every student is unique in how they learn. The big question is how, as teachers, support the whole class, including the students with FASD. I'm going to list a few different learning and teaching strategies that would prove to be effective in general. The most effective thing we can do as teachers to support all students is discuss what has and has not worked with the children, working alongside teachers' aides and other teachers within the cohort to modify assessments for students with additional needs and lesson plans. This also allows these students to have equal access to curriculum in reference to UDL. And for students who do not struggle with additional needs, using different reflective activities such as journals or quick quizzes at the end of the lesson can help the teacher understand if they have communicated the topic clearly to the students or not, or what the students will need extra assistance in within the future. Another strategy that can be used is assessment for learning. This is a common strategy that has been used by teachers for a long time. It is assessment that is not marked, but viewed by the teacher or the class with effective and encouraging feedback being given, which usually follows a structured support system. This allows the teacher to see where each individual student needs assistance with support and reflects the universal design for learning. Other teaching and learning strategies to support students with FASD and other intellectual learning difficulties are breaking things down into step-by-step processes, using visual prompts, having a strategy plan or a personalised learning plan for students who have additional and need additional help, including activities that can cater to all different learning styles and allowing options and ideas to flow within the classroom. The last part of this section will be me discussing how we can effectively arrange and manage the classroom so that students can feel as though they are in a safe learning space. There are many ways you can support students with FASD. A structured seating plan can be effective where the student is placed next to students with good behaviour. Simplified learning environment with minimal clutter and clam. Also, colours on the walls can be nice and calm. Ensuring noise levels are at a minimum where necessary, and having a headphones rule can be used for quiet time and independent study. Fidget toys underneath the desk can assist them with concentration and minimalising hyperactivity. So how can parents help? We love having parents assist with school camps and outings. Please ensure you have watched this movie and asked any questions that are necessary to staff members or myself with any other advice you need so you can be effective and well equipped in the best possible way. Also, ensure you are discussing with your children at home how each child is unique and special and deserves to be treated equally. This will significantly reduce bullying within the classroom. As teachers, we use a specific approach called modelling. This is where we demonstrate skills we desire the children to learn. However, instead of practical skills, we can take this deeper. We learn that teachers can also model special ideas and thoughts towards their students. As parents, this can be effective as well. Modelling respectful and loving attitudes and actions towards your children can effectively assist the overall classroom dynamic and learning environment. When we think back to growing up, we remember our parents being the loudest voices, the strongest role models, and the biggest influences. So the overall purpose of this presentation was to ensure that you had a brief background and understanding of the different needs, such as physical and educational, which we explored further. You got to have a personal insight into some of the teaching styles and learning strategies and classroom management ideas that we've been brainstorming as teachers. And finally, you got to understand ways that you can assist as parents. Just finally, if you have any other further questions, feel free to email us, the teachers, or get in contact with me, and I'll provide you with any more resources you might need or any further information. Above all, I hope you understand that this was just made to target for you to understand what it means to support students with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, and also how we can provide equal access to curriculum through different assessments and learning styles and strategies, so that every child has the opportunity to learn and feels as though they belong within the classroom, because it is our goal as teachers to create a safe learning environment.